we don't have an excellence problem in Nigeria. Look at our fashion industry, look at our film industry. There's always something to critique in any industry. We look at our music industry. The mixes that you're hearing are produced on laptops when the gen is going on outside. I've lived that life. But we made music till the global market had to pay attention to us. The films that are being made, I remember when you would watch films and in one scene you'd hear the gen going on. And then the next, like, you know, like two characters are talking to each other. One cut, there's gen. The next cut, there's no gen. Someone died on a boat going somewhere. Like, people are risking their lives to tell these stories. But they're succeeding. They are succeeding. We don't have a learning problem. We don't. Nigerian creatives learn quicker than anybody else. There's no app. Look at what we've done with TikTok. Look at what we're doing with YouTube. There's no school for it. We go into those platforms and we dominate. We learn really quickly. In fact, if anything, a lot of apathy you see from African youth comes from when they try things and they're not given a fair playing ground. Yeah. Then they develop an I don't care attitude. But where the ground is fair, everybody's like, play ball. Also, if you narrow down to the thing that has worked, Nigerian entrepreneurs have succeeded in the creative industry. Aldo and Paul in Chocolate City have succeeded. Don Jazzy, Olamide and Alex, the owners of Kula, I see my brother NC's here, the owners of Kula FM, Navin. You go to the film industry, what Charles has done. Like, Charles is a multi-successful across vertical business person. Did he go to a business, was there a business school you went to, you know what I mean? Like, from clubs to nightlife, we continuously innovate and produce world-class products in a completely broken society where there's nothing working for us. So that's not the problem. The problem is that to do so, the resources you need to get are not available. You cannot go to a bank, you cannot go to a VC, you cannot go to a PE, you cannot even get a grant. We're talking about grants. They've been talking about funding for this thing. How many creatives, you can count on one hand how many creatives have actually gotten a grant. It's like we're talking about, we can't even compare ourselves in the least to South Africa. Talk less of, Rwanda, talk less of South Africa in terms of catalytic funding that's coming to the space. Infrastructure is still gonna need massive funding. The project that Paul and Aldo have taken on now with reviving NFI. Like, think about, first of all, why should that even be necessary? Our National Film Institute needs entrepreneurship to come in. But I bet you that if you ask Paul now, he's gonna tell you they're still struggling to get funding for the project because it's too difficult. The interest rate is too high. And then the second part is that the second thing government can do for us is regulation. Level the playing field so that people can play and can be successful. Protect us against the global economy. When YouTube comes here, when Netflix comes here, create the guardrails so that they can interact with us in a fair, 100%. In a fair thing. So those are the two things. When I see funding and regulation are the two things I think that we need. Because the evidence to me is so clear that yes, as Nigerians, we can always point out, oh, that wasn't good, that wasn't that. We can always, but if you were to take a step back and just look at what has happened over the last 20, 30 years, it's magic. We've created magic out of nothing.
You think we've created this magic out of nothing because oftentimes that magic is exported globally and the funding that is earned from that magic is funding that is not just from Nigeria but from a global space.
Yeah, sorry, just to before I pass back, just to say that, like, there's been success, and that success has created pipelines for growth, and again, all these companies I've called, all the people that are sitting on here, people that are in the room here, they've given their life, blood, sweat, and tears to build an industry, to follow their passion, and they've succeeded. And now, the question for me is, do we really believe that we can be the dominant force globally in doing this? Do we really believe that there will be a day that the #1 film in the world perpetually will be a Nigerian film or a Ghanaian film or a South African film? If we really believe it, then we need to act and move in that direction full speed ahead. We need to take risk, embrace risk. We need to pump funding into the hands of entrepreneurs, and where the government can step in, and provide infrastructure, but mostly more regulation and helping us provide the guardrails. Put the funding. To me, I know that the great thing about a conversation like this is that you hear all sides and you're able to get a full perspective. But to me, I just want to double down on that to me because it's so clear. Like, if you were to ask me today, I'm working on a project called Task. It's software for creatives, all the creatives in this room. Like the camera guy that's behind there, I'm sure he has admin challenges that he needs. He's looking for opportunities, yes, invoicing, contracts he needs to do, and I believe software can do that. And I've been on the project for 3 years, and every time I'm in the West and I'm talking to people, they're like, this is a brilliant project, but it feels like it's more workforce development for Nigeria. Why isn't the Nigerian government sponsoring it? How do I answer that question, right? There's millions of projects that are out there that are brilliant. We need our own streaming services. We need our own Netflix. We need our, like Jason and Irogo TV, they came and they did blood, sweat and tears here. People need the support so that they can be globally successful. The problem is not with us. We've proven that, I think. So
you just say, come and give it to us. We're ready.
I have with great risk to personal harm in this room. There's actually something I want to say that might be considered controversial, but I really would hope everyone would take it as a charge.
Okay.
I think we do have an excellence problem
1,000%
in Nigeria. We have an excellence problem because I think to a large extent, the same pride and energy that makes us successful as Nigerians also blinds us to how far we can actually go. We get very complacent with, it's better than this one, so I've done well. Unfortunately and unfortunately, our competitors are no longer Nigerians. We're playing in a very global space. So the standards to which we should hold ourselves are not local standards, they're very international standards. There is still a gap with funding and things like that to do that. But I find that something as simple as YouTube is a very, very powerful tool to discover how to do things in the filmmaking, they'll say the poor man's method. To achieve the most out of your creativity. I charge everyone to not rest on your laurels or the strength of what you've done, but when you look at it and say, what could I have done better? I'm working on my next film project. I've been developing the story for 3 years. I haven't even gotten to the first draft of a script, but I'm constantly sharing my ideas with people that I trust, taking feedback to make sure that I can plug as many holes as possible. So by the time that I go to a first draft of a script, I'm sure that this film will have the impact that I intended to have. I find a lot of times, oh, this is great. Can you not see how they did this, da, da, da? Yeah, but this is da, 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 da. I respect every success that we have made in this industry, but I also want to charge us to take, sometimes, like everyone says, take the step back to say, what could I have done better? How do I make this much better than it is? And that's why I say we have an excellence problem, because, hey, it's great. We hit it. It gets to the global stage, and then they look at us, well, you're Nigerian, you guys are, what is this? You know what I mean? Because we've gaslit ourselves up so much, we hit ourselves, when we get there, it's like, yeah, we can't really use this. You know what I mean?
What did you say?
What industry?
I'm saying which industry
shall I
is
defend
different?
names? I've already tried. This is where I don't do that. If he
No,
says,
definitely not music. It's definitely not music.
At the risk
Definitely not music.
at the risk of being unpopular, which is, of course, we do have a major excellence problem in Nigeria.
Can we limit this issue to the industry?
Yes, we can. For industry, I'll tell you what. Like, I'm the kind of person who likes to balance my creativity with a little dose of reality and pragmatism, and looking at numbers, real numbers, not my wishes or my optimism. Nigeria is the youngest consumer market in the world, right? The average Nigerian is how old? 17, 19. And if Nigeria is the youngest market in the world, it means that most Nigerians are below the age of 20. And if you do that calculation, it will give you a number. Let's say you have 100 million young people in Nigeria. 100 million. First of all, I asked her, how many people can you give grants to? Not 100 million, that's for sure. No government has that money, first of all. Secondly, sometimes we get into this thing of looking at our it's like looking at where you're standing as the world, right? You say Aldo Mekuri, Paul, Kufro, Charles, and whatever. If you put those names into the context of how many creators there are in Nigeria, there's a word I'm looking for. Infinitesimal, that's the word. It's so small. The number of, it's so small, the number of people that actually succeed in Nigeria. So sometimes because, Instagram, Instagram has only 8 million people on there. In a country with 200 million people, of which 120 or so are young, right? When you look at Instagram, you're only looking at 8 million people, or 6.5 million. That's not the real story at all. So this whole thing about, we're so great, we are doing our best, but we are very, very far from great, right? And I don't want us to rest on those laurels, like Dr. Sid said. When it comes to the creative industry, in film and in music, right? Again, funding is key. It is very, very key. But there's a part that, let me put some scripture, when they say it's like giving diamonds to pigs, right? If you give diamonds to a pig, what does he do with it, right? He treats it like mud, right? I'm saying that you need to be at a point where you are excellent consistently for money not only to come but to stay. And there's proof in what I'm saying, because people, Emma is right, people have come to this market and left. People have given money, like I know MasterCard Foundation, do you know how much money they've given to Nigerian creators over the last 5 years? A lot of money. I know people they gave $20 million, $5 million. I know them myself, personally, friends, right? If you sit down with the MasterCard Foundation guys and ask them how many of those people actually did what they said they were going to do, actually use that money for whatever.
But isn't that like more of an admin issue? Because you definitely need to do your scrutiny before you're giving people money.
No. Listen. What the approach is, they give you money because they are as optimistic as you are about your market. That's why they give you the money. What they want to see is what comes back. Okay,
let's hear from Charles, because we have less than 3 minutes.
If money doesn't come back, they won't give the money tomorrow. So that's why I talk about donor fatigue, right?
Yeah.
So again, we do need money, but what we need is more, in my opinion, more excellence, more technical skills, right? And a better strategic approach to how we build our industry. It's not a problem that only money can solve.
All right, Charles, as we close this panel, will you just say your final thoughts are?
I just think Nigeria, where we are today, we have a lot of young, talented filmmakers who are bubbling under, and I think with little resources, they can create magic. I'm not asking for the government to give millions of dollars or, as little as 20 million naira, 10 million naira. I'm sure like young filmmakers can make magic. That's my own little request.
All right, well, MI, Dr. Sid, Charles, Paul, we've come to the end of this very, very elaborate conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for these epic, successful gentlemen. Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
We sure hope you enjoyed this video. For more entertaining video content such as behind the scenes of music videos and movies, music concerts, premieres, interviews, and exclusive gists, subscribe now to our YouTube channel Goldmynetv and be unleashed into a world of super excitement.